Hey there, Sorry here. I hope you guys all had a lovely weekend. I certainly enjoyed mine. Got to touch some grass, and I got to kick Kefka's ass. So, with the new Greatsword that came out, this makes Taivas so much better, and so it makes taking down Kefka so much easier with Taivas. So, if you saw my video that I posted right before maintenance last week, you saw that I did do an all missions clear of Kefka with Taivas, but I had to give him the Dark Vision's Fist, which meant giving him an equipped fist material, and it just made the rotation really janky. And now that he has this great sword, it makes everything smooth as butter. So smooth, in fact, that I was actually able to do an 11-turn clear, and I'm going to show you how I did it. But first of all, I want to talk about this greatsword. If you're not familiar with it, the Dark Apocalypse is a new greatsword from the Dark Vision's Abyss weapon set that was released after maintenance. You get it from the little Moogle in the Moogle castle in the far plane, and it is hands down the best weapon in the game. It does cost 10,000 dark matter. They did not give us any extra dark matter, unfortunately. So if for some reason you don't have 10,000 dark matter, then you're kind of SOL. I don't know if they plan on giving out more dark matter or anything like that. You should get some dark matter with the Vision World rewards when those come out next week. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, the point being, hopefully you have enough dark matter to buy this weapon, because it is fantastic. Not just because it's a two-handed greatsword, which we've been lacking forever, with a nice big 405 attack and mag stat, you know, that's great. The big kicker in this weapon, why it's the best weapon in the game, is because of the damage modifier. You see right above the attack stat, it says damage modifier 1.5 to 2. Most greatswords have a damage modifier of 1.25 to 1.75 with an average of 1.5, and that is a when we say, like, you know, when we say rolling for damage variance, that's what it is, right? It's the variance on the weapon that you're equipping, and this is the highest damage variance you can get in the game, and it makes a big difference. Such a big difference that equipping this greatsword, even with Taivas's crappy little 25% greatsword in peril, it actually pulls even with the fist, which has the same attack stat, but lower variance, and we had the 50% fist in peril going into that. So it's pretty insane that cutting the weapon in peril in half, this variance makes up for that, and deals just as much damage as the fist with a 50% in peril. So imagine if we had like a bigger greatsword in peril. Oh, he'd be doing stupid damage. But anyways, it makes the rotation simple enough that we can actually just equip that, and we don't have to worry about, you know, trying to work around a fist in peril. And so I'm going to show you how I got it done in 11 turns. We're using my friend Kimochi again, because he built this one specifically for me. It doesn't take anything too fancy. You can see it's just a pretty stacked build with high attack gear. Kaiser Knuckles is great for chain speed, and then 100% camouflage through the camouflage materia, which you get from Montana, who's a 2-star unit, and then 50% from Veritas of Light's TMR, that's like a 5-star unit. And there you go. Easy peasy, nice vision card. You can get this vision card from the card shop now. You know, obviously human overkillers from Lakshmi is pretty imperative there. So human overkillers, all that jazz. Doesn't take too much, and in fact there probably are a lot of people building their fundamental forces out there. If you need one, let me know. Mine's built, ready to go. I'd be happy to add you if you are looking to take on Kefka. Now, with that being said, Kefka is still a very difficult boss. You know, I'm not going to say he's an easy boss to handle. I would say this team definitely makes it feel a lot easier. It feels a lot easier taking down this boss with this team. But it does require Taivas, obviously. There are other clears, plenty of other clears without Taivas. I would highly recommend looking at like Sinzar or Resnaught's clears using Jill, who's a free unit that provides that nice 100% ice buff. But if you happen to have a Taivas and you want to try this clear, go for it. I'm going to do this in 11 turns. You don't have to do it in 11 turns, and there are a couple of places where you might not be able to if you're units aren't quite as strong. I'll sort of explain how we go as we go along. I will provide a turn chart in the comments below, so feel free to follow along with the turn chart. With that said, let's go ahead and get in there first, and let's make sure we get it done, and then I'll show you the gear on the rest of the team at the end. Alright, so just like in the real game, at the end of the real Final Fantasy VI, you do have to defeat the 3 statues of the gods before you get to Kefka. These are all thankfully very, very easy. You should be able to first turn knock all of these out. If you cannot knock these guys out on the first turn, then don't even bother. You're not going to beat Kefka. All right, that's just me being honest there. So for this, what we're going to do. All right, Melissa is going to do Human Killer on Taivas. We'll do Minutes of Might for the buffs, Chronic Flow just for something to do. The Friend unit is going to do Enlightka, and honestly, either one can do it, doesn't really matter. Enlightka, Prismatic Field, and Event Horizon. Okay, so that'll put up our amp field, imbues everybody with light, and does the breaks. Pinello is just going to do Charming Stage for the Imperil Field. Okay. And then we're just going to do LBs and knock these guys out. So Taivas' LB is a 5-hit finisher with a little bit of a wind-up. So you'll tap Taivas first, wait for like 1 to 2 seconds, and then send your chainers. All right, so let's do it. Yeah, should get 64 hits in the chain. Perfect. I do love Dancing Mad. The music, the soundtrack for this boss fight is still one of the best soundtracks that Nobuo ever wrote. Such good music. All right, we're just gonna hit reload and repeat on this one. All right, wait for all the buffs and everything to go in play, and then do the damage. Okay. Now the third boss, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We might not actually kill the boss on this third boss on the first turn, and that's actually totally okay. That is accounted for in the rotation and in the turn chart. It happens sometimes. Just if we happen to roll low, we don't kill this one on the first turn, and that is okay. So we will just go ahead and reload, but we're only going to repeat the Melissa and the Friend unit. Pinello is actually going to do something slightly different. Triple Resplendence, and then Charming Stage. And then my Fundamental Force is going to do Triple Galactic, because we do not want to use up our SLBs yet. Okay, we're saving those for the Kefka fight. It's very, very important that we save the SLB for the Kefka fight. Okay. All right, so again, we'll send Taivas first, wait a second, and then we'll send Wilhelm, followed by the other 2 chainers. All right. All right, so we did kill, and that's fine. If you don't kill, all you do, Wilhelm will cover everything because he's got the auto Omni cover on turn 1. He covers everything just fine. You will get hit with some ailments, so Melissa just has to use Shared Immunity on turn 2 to get rid of the ailments, and then you just have your Fundamental Forces can just chain Galactic Sunder, and that'll kill the boss. Okay, that's all you got to do. All right, now the big boy, Kefka. He's going to start with Heartless Angel, which drops everybody down to 1 HP, unless they have a barrier. If you happen to have a barrier up, then you will have 1 HP plus however much your barrier was. So that's why you see Melissa has 25,001, because she starts with a 25,000 HP barrier. The Fundamental Forces start with a 5,000 HP barrier. That's why they have 5,001 left. So barriers do become important, because Kefka is going to use that Heartless Angel attack after almost every threshold. Okay, and that's sort of the trick. Kefka is a very challenging boss unless you can essentially push his thresholds on very specific turns. Okay, those turns are 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. That's of course if you're going for a 15 turn or less clear. Okay, so 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. Those are the turns to remember, and those are the turns that Kefka does his most powerful attacks. When he's above 50%, it's always Light of Judgment. Light of Judgment is a fixed magic attack. It can only be covered by Omni cover, and it will destroy any tank that tries to cover it, all right, regardless of who it is. Doesn't matter if it's Wilhelm, doesn't matter if it's Abigail, it's going to kill them, all right? And so it is recoverable, all right? It's not a huge deal if that hits you, like, for example, on turn 2. That's the hardest one to hit because you have to hit 80% on turn 2, all right? We're going to do it, but you might not be able to. And if you don't, that one's easy to recover from, okay? The others, maybe not so much, but it's generally easier to avoid that by pushing his thresholds on those turns when he's going to do the Light of Judgment. Okay, and so Kefka actually has 5 thresholds. He's got the 80% threshold, one at 60%, one at 50, one at 40, and one at 30. So as long as you are pushing thresholds on those turns when he's supposed to do Light of Judgment, okay, you can avoid that completely. He will not do Light of Judgment, and he'll skip it. He just skips that turn completely. So that's what we're going to try to do. All right, so let's go ahead and see how we are going to get started here. All right, we're going to start with Melissa, actually. Okay, so Melissa's going to do Human Killer on Taivas. That's for next turn. Shared Immunity, because Kefka will throw some ailments at us. And then Shelga for the Magic Mitigation. That's going to do 75% Magic Mitigation for Wilhelm, because he will be covering some magic damage during this fight. Also does a 300% Spirit buff, which is important for Penelo, because Penelo is basically going to be a healer. Especially on this turn, she's just going to do Quad Curaga. Okay, just try and fill up as much of Wilhelm's HP as we can get. Okay, speaking of Wilhelm, he will do his Omni cover, Safeguard, Siege Strategy for the 89% attack and mag breaks, and the 50% Spear Imperil, and he's going to do Limitless Surge, because we're going to try to hit the first threshold next turn to avoid Light of Judgment. All right, Taivas is going to do Fighter of Light Large Sword. That does his mod boost, and it does a 25% Greatsword Imperil. You see there's one already in play. That's because Melissa has the Leave Things to Me vision card, which does an auto 25% Greatsword Imperil. Okay, Surpassing Limits for the LB damage buff, and then he's going to do Greatest Warrior's Aura on the basically on the strongest of the fundamental forces, which in this case is actually my friend unit, Kamochi, so he has slightly higher attack than mine, so I'm going to put it on him. Okay, what that does, Greatest Warrior's Aura is actually a 5-turn 100% amp, which is fantastic. So both Taivas and my friend Fundamental Force will have a 100% light amp for 5 turns. Absolutely fantastic. Fundamental Forces, so the one that gets the 100% amp from Taivas will do Enlightka, Heavenly Hypernova, and Limitless Surge for the LB buff. The other one is just going to do Hypernova, Limitless, and Supreme, so that they also have a 100% amp for the burst next turn. All right. So you see, Kefka, when you're above 50% HP, he does these moves called hyperdrives. All right, and those ignore provoke. They are again fixed magic damage, so Wilhelm can cover them with his Omni cover, but they ignore provoke. And so the way to get around that is by building your units with camouflage. Okay, everybody on the team has 100% camouflage except for Wilhelm and Penelo. So Wilhelm obviously doesn't care. He's got mitigations. He can tank it. Penelo is just more like a sacrificial lamb on this party. So obviously she's important for breaks, but we also don't care if she dies and re-raises. She's not here to provide damage. She just needs to make sure that she has re-raise on her pretty much at all times, so that if she does die, she's still in the fight. Okay, everyone else has 100% camouflage. So on those turns when he does hyperdrive, the idea is that it's only going to target Pinello or Wilhelm, and it will not hit any of our other units. Okay, so now on this turn, all right, Pinello's going to do double bursting break because this is a physical attack. Kefka will counter the first 2 physical attacks with a hyperdrive. So she's basically going to soak up those 2 hyperdrives. Wilhelm will cover it, so she won't actually take the damage, but she will take the damage over time. That's the worst part of the hyperdrive move, is that it does a damage over time, which hurts real bad. All right. She's also going to do elemental break light for the 200% light and peril, and calamitous step for the breaks. Okay, Melissa is going to do human killer on the stronger of the 2 fundamental forces, which in this case is the friend unit. She's going to do chronic flow, just so we have, does a little bit of extra LB fill every turn. And then we're going to do a Kuraga. Okay, Wilhelm can go ahead and do the overdrive. We're going to need it this turn to make sure we hit the 80% threshold. You have to do 6 billion damage on this turn to hit 80% if you want to avoid Light of Judgment. Okay, and that's what we're going to go for. We're striving for. All right, so let's do. All right, so we should be good to go. Again, we send Taivas first. Wait a couple seconds, and then send our chainers. You see now why we wanted to save those SLBs, so that they are up on turn 2, and they're up every turn that we want to push a threshold, basically. All right, every 3 turns. Okay, so let's do that. Boom, look at that. Okay, so, oh, nice, 6.5, yeah, all right, that's good. Now, if you don't, so there you see he did the Heartless Angel again, that's a threshold move. We've skipped Light of Judgment. You noticed after he did Heartless Angel, he did a little ding on the friend unit, because they had the higher attack, so he specifically targets the unit with the highest attack, but because we had a barrier, thanks to Wilhelm's limit burst, that puts a barrier on the party. Thanks to having that barrier, he did not die from that. All right, so that's why the barriers are important on threshold turns. Now, if you don't push the 80% threshold on this turn, it's fine. You can still recover from it. You just keep following the turn chart exactly as I have it laid out. Okay, and you should be just fine. All right, so don't stress too much about it. Now, you do want to make sure that you're hitting the next threshold by turn 5 so that you avoid that one, because that one is not as easy to recover from in the rotation. Okay? All right. So on this turn, Taivas is going to do... actually, before we do that, Melissa's going to do her SLB on Taivas so that we rewind his cooldown a little bit. This will also do a full heal on everybody, give everybody re-raise. Which we don't really need because there's a permanent re-raise already from the preemptive, but yeah, it's more important for future turns. All right, Taivas is going to do Fighter of Large Sword now, fill LB, and then we're going to go ahead and do his 150 amp, all right, because there's no real room for it later on. You may be thinking, why not save it for later on your big burst? There's just no action economy for it later on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use it now. So he can go ahead and do that. After he's done that, Pinello is going to do Gilded Bracer. So this is one of those high Celestite gears. It's probably the most important one because it extends LB modifiers. So like Taivas's, for example, Taivas's preemptive LB boost, which is 100 times mod boost. Also his modifier boost that he just put on himself. This will extend all of those by 5 turns, so that we can essentially keep hitting with, his full strength LB all the way up to turn 10. Okay, so she uses that on Taivas. Wilhelm's going to re-up his cover, so he keeps covering this. And then he's going to do Decisive Point Charge. and Limitless Burst, Limitless whatever, his big LB burst. And again, you may be asking, why are you not saving it for later? Because there is no turn economy for it later. At that point in the fight, when we're preparing for our big burst, Wilhelm is just trying to stay alive, and so he has to use other actions. So we're going to go ahead and use that now, because trying to hit these thresholds is much more important at this point, because they're much farther apart at this point. All right, fundamental force. I think, let's see, they're both basically going to do the same thing for the most part. Let's see, we'll do prismatic field. We'll do radiant starburst and guidance of Hercules. The friend is going to do Enlightka, because they still have a 100% amp, so they don't really have to worry about putting up their radiant starburst. They will do... let's see, they did Enlightka. I will go ahead and do a radiant anyways, and guidance of Hercules. All right, so that way both of the fundamental forces have a 200% human killer now. All right, you see Pinello is gutsing out pretty much every turn. She has about 6 or 7 stacks of guts. He's just using various gear to give her, so you just have to remember to heal her basically every turn, so that she doesn't die from those, from that damage over time. Okay, so on this turn, we're going to do another burst, hopefully push it pretty close to 60 without going over. I mean, if we do go over, it's not a big deal, but we prefer to not go over 60 on this turn, just get really close to it. So again, Pinello's going to do a double bursting to soak up the counters. She'll do Charming Stage on this one, because it's going to expire next turn, and then a Curaga, just to make sure she's over her threshold for her guts. Okay. Yes, it's critical that she goes first there. All right, we're going to do Human Killer on Taivas. We're going to do... let's see, what else should she do? I will do like we'll just re-up our Shelga, make sure we have our magic nets, and I think that's all we really have to do here. We could do another shared immunity too. I mean, assuming everyone's got their LBs ready to go. Yeah, we don't need to do another Curaga, so we're good there. Okay. All right, we are going to use Taivas's Overdrive, which does affect him and Wilhelm. Okay, so he and Wilhelm will have an extra Overdrive for the next 2 turns, which is really useful in helping us push that next threshold. All right, well, let's see how we do here. Nice, 61, we are looking good. We are looking real good. Okay. All right, so now we basically just drop another bomb, another nuke on this guy, and we're going to push 50% on this one. So we're basically going to skip the 60% threshold and just go straight to the 50. You may not be able to do that. If not, it's okay. It just means you're not going to be able to do an 11 turn clear like we're going to do here. You'll probably end up doing like a 14 or a 15 turn clear, which is fine. That still gets all missions, okay? And I'll explain it. I've got the turn chart, like I said, which I will put in the comments below and kind of explain what you need to do if you don't push that threshold, okay? But we're definitely going to hit it. Like, there's no question about it here. We are definitely going to push this threshold. All right, Pinello is just going to do, let's see, who needs LB fill? Wilhelm and, so let's do Human Killer on, so the Human Killer isn't as important as the LB fill. How are we looking on these guys? Looks like Taivas probably needs a double Bardarcha, so I think that'll be fine. So we'll do Human Killer on the friend unit, double Bardarcha. Let's see how that does. Perfect, it fills everybody up. If anyone is lagging a little bit, you can use Pinello. All right, Pinello has a single target, 10 LB fill. You can use that on someone who may need just that little bit of extra. Since we don't need it, all right, Pinello is going to do double bursting, and she's going to do Curaga. Might as well just do 2 of them. Okay. All right, I think that should be it. Okay. All right, so Willie and Taivas still have their overdrive. We're not going to use Wilhelm's overdrive. We don't need it to push the 50% because it's only 11% from here, which means we need to do 3.3 billion, I think, which we should easily be able to do, especially now that we have our SLBs on our fundamental forces. You see how that lines up? That another reason why we didn't want to waste an SLB on those earlier bosses, because we want them to line up perfectly with the threshold turns. Okay, so this should be good to go. Let's see how we do. Perfect. Okay. $3.8. Yep. All right. So we did well there. All right, so we have pushed the 50% threshold. So this is going to change Kefka's AI a little bit. He's going to start throwing out a lot more non-elemental magic attacks, which are going to make it a little bit more difficult for Wilhelm to survive. But don't worry, we have a plan for it, and we're going to make it work. Now, what he's done now is he's preparing to do a big AoE magic attack. The good thing is it only hits once. It's like a one-hit huge magic attack, and if Wilhelm was covering, which he is not, his cover has expired, thankfully. If he was covering, it would kill him. It would kill anybody, doesn't matter who it is. But since Wilhelm's not covering, we're going to go ahead and let it hit the party. Everyone has at least 1 stack of guts, or should have 1 remaining in the case of like Pinello. Everyone's going to guts out, and we're just going to move on. All right. He's also going to dispel the party after he does that, which is fine, because we're gonna set up and get ready to deal some damage, anyways. So not a big deal. Now, what we are going to do here is we are going to just do a little bit of chip damage. So we're gonna, we're basically going to just do like 3 or 4% damage, because right now he's got a 50% physical and magic mitigation up. Penella's going to go ahead and do her SLB because you see our brakes have worn off. We want to make sure we maintain those for a few more turns, and plus she's probably going to die this turn anyways. So we just want to go ahead and use up her SLB so we don't lose it. Okay, she's going to go ahead and do that. Wilhelm is going to do a bar lightja to help with some LB fill, and then a double transfusing. So he's going to soak up the whatever those things are called. What am I thinking? The hyperdrives. He's going to soak up the hyperdrives on this turn. Okay. All right, and then Melissa is just going to do triple bar darkja, and hopefully that's going to fill everybody up. Perfect. All right. Now, it's not critical that you do this little chip damage. It really helps. It really helps set you up for your biggest burst. So yeah, every little bit helps here. So that's the only reason why we're doing this. Like I said, it's not going to do very much damage. It's probably going to do like 3%, but that's better than nothing. So let's do it. Yeah, 3%, that's what I figured. All right. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to, actually, first of all, we are going to do an overdrive because we're going to do a big burst next turn, okay, to push the 40% threshold because we need to push that on turn 8 because that's the next turn where he's going to do it. Now that we're below 50%, on those turns that I mentioned earlier, 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, he now has a 50% chance of doing Dancing Mad instead, which is a fixed physical type damage. And for whatever reason, Wilhelm's Omni Cover will cover fixed magic damage, but it does not cover fixed physical damage. And so it's gonna hit everybody, it's gonna kill them. So you really, really want to avoid that. And so we gotta make sure that we push that. Now I'm using his overdrive on this turn because I want to make sure that it's recharged for our next burst when we push the 30% threshold. And so I need to do it now, even though we're doing a burst next turn. We're not going to do another burst after that one until turn 10, okay? So we need to make sure that he's recharged his overdrive. So he's going to use that now. Okay. All right. Melissa is going to do Human Killer on Taivas, Parasol Shield, which is going to do a human, not only is it going to give us re-raise, which is fantastic, but it is also going to do a human mitigation, okay, which is going to help keep Wilhelm alive. And then we are going to do Shelga, again, for the magic mitigation, and the 300% spirit buff, because now Kefka is going to start doing some non-elemental magic damage, and Wilhelm needs to be able to survive that. It's critical that Wilhelm survives the non-elemental magic damage. All right, let's see. Wilhelm is, of course, going to do... He's going to do Safeguard. He's going to do Siege Strategy again, because that's going to maintain our breaks, our 89% attack and mag breaks, which are pretty critical, okay? And then he's going to do Sacred Spear, okay? So that he is imbued with light with a 60% amp. Okay, Penelo is going to be our healer again, so let's see. Probably need at least 3 Curagas, I think, to get Wilhelm. You want Wilhelm as close to full as he can get. And then we do need to do a remedy lore for to make sure we are resistant to our ailments, because Melissa doesn't have the turn economy to do shared immunity on this turn, so remedy lore is going to be our ailment resistance. Okay. Just double checking myself here. Okay, yeah, so he's got a big spirit boost. That's good. All right, perfect. He's full. Okay. All right, the fundamental forces are going to get ready to start dishing out some damage on next turn. Okay, we are going to do Hypernova. Let's do Radiant Starburst. And actually, no. Is that what I want to do? Let me just double check myself here. Which one has the 100% amp left? Yeah, okay. So Taivas is now going to do... All right, he's going to do his Fighter of Light. He's going to do Greatest Warrior's Aura on mine now. Okay, and then doesn't really matter what his last move is. I guess it's going to be Protectica. Actually, he could use a little bit of LB fill. Let's do that. So let's do One Last Wish, which does a 20 LB fill for him. Okay. All right. So now mine is going to do Enlightka, which does the imbue for everybody. Heavenly Hypernova and Prismatic Field. Okay. The friend is going to do Radiant, Hypernova, and Supreme Spectrum, so that they have a 100% amp for next turn. Because next turn we need to go past the 40% threshold. The idea is we want to get as close to 30 without going over on next turn. Okay. Okay, so that's great. Wilhelm survives. That is like the most important thing, that he survives on that turn. Okay, and now we are going to do our LBs. We still have our overdrive, which is great. Okay, so he got the killer last turn, right? Yeah. Okay, so we'll give. We'll do a human killer. How's his LB looking? His LB is full, perfect. Okay. So we'll do human killer do it on the stronger of the two. We'll do shared immunity just to re-up our ailment boosts. And we will do, I guess we'll do a Huraga. Yeah, that will probably be important to make sure Wilhelm is good to go. Although we are going to push the threshold, and I will say that Wilhelm and Pinello are probably going to die at the end of this turn, because we're going to push the threshold, which means Kefka is going to do Heartless Angel again, dropping everybody to 1 HP. For everybody except for Pinello and Wilhelm, that'll be fine, because they'll have a barrier up. But Pinello and Wilhelm, their barrier is going to get eaten up by the damage over time. And so when they get the little ding, the little like 500 damage ding, it's going to kill both of them. But that's fine. That's why we have our re-raise. All right, we're all re-raised, or we should have, everyone should have re-raise, good to go. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Pinello is, of course, going to soak up the counters. Excuse me. Okay, double bursting. We'll do another Huraga. And I guess that's all she really needs to do here. I mean, she could do another one. Why not? Just to be safe. Okay. If there was anybody that needed a little bit of extra LB fill, all right, she could do her quickening on them. I believe I have it in my turn chart here that she does one cast of quickening. That's probably for like Taivas or something like that. But yeah, if somebody's lagging a little bit, then just use her quickening to kind of top them up. Okay. All right. So yeah, we're looking to, we definitely have to push 40% here. And we're looking to get really close to 30 without going over. So like 31% would be perfect. If we hit 30, we are kind of screwed, because you definitely don't want to pass 30% until you're ready to do it. Okay, and we are not ready to do that yet. So let's, let's give it a go, see how we do. If I hit 30%, I'm gonna cry, because that's like 40 minutes of recording wasted. All right, let's see how we do. $31, perfect. Man, that could not have gone any better. All right, so he's gonna do Heartless Angel again. He's gonna ding. Yep, and there you go. All right, so he actually didn't kill Pinello. That's surprising, but you know, it's fine. It is what it is. Okay, so what we are going to do now, let's see, we're on turn 9 here. Okay. So Melissa's going to do her LB. Normally she would have her SLB, but it actually doesn't matter. Her normal LB is fine here, because it's still going to do everything we want it to do, which is the heal with the re-raise and the 1-turn reduction. That's all we need, because Taivas needs his Fighter of Light large sword ready to go on this turn. Just going to do Dial of Destiny on Taivas. Okay. All right, so everyone's back to full. Everyone has re-raise, which is fantastic. And Taivas can now use his Fighter of Light large sword. So he's going to do Fighter of Light, Elemental Break Light. That does another 200% light imperil and surpassing limits plus. Okay. We are going to do with Wilhelm. All right, on this turn, Wilhelm's going to do Safeguard, Fortify. So Fortify does a 90% magic mitigation, which is going to really make sure that he survives, and then Sacred Spear. Okay. Now, it's critical. Okay, you'll notice that there is one action left to charge Taivas. Make sure, absolutely make sure that Wilhelm does his actions first so that you can do the overdrive. You may be asking why? Because that's the only spirit buff that Wilhelm is going to get here. Okay? So literally, it's the only spirit buff he has from the overdrive, and he needs it. Okay? So Taivas, unfortunately, you have to redo Taivas. That's fine. Fighter of Light, Large Sword, Elemental Break Light, Surpassing Limits plus. Okay? So we are preparing to do our big boy burst next turn. Okay? All right, Penelo. On this turn, let's see, I'm just double checking myself. All right, she'll do her Charming Stage next turn. Everything's lining up, right? Yeah, okay. Just double checking myself. Okay, so we need to do Remedy Lore again. Make sure no one's gonna get hit with ailments. We're already fully healed, so we don't need to do that. So what I'm gonna do Remedy Lore. I'm going to do Quickening Change. I'm going to do Quickening, Double Quickening on Taivas. Okay, and then I'm actually going to do Manufactured Nethicite. Okay, because one of the spells that Kefka might do is Ultima on this turn, and that is actually sealable. So that is a sealable magic attack. So by doing Manufactured Nethicite, she can basically nullify that one, which would be huge because that would greatly reduce the incoming damage for Wilhelm. Okay, now I'm going to save her. I'm going to wait for a second. So our fundamental forces are basically on this turn going to get ready to kill. We'll do Hercules, Limitless plus, Supreme plus, and again Hercules, Limitless plus, Supreme plus. Okay, so we're getting ready for a big burst. Now, even though you may be saying, but wait, the SLB isn't until turn 11, why don't you wait till then? You want their SLBs to come online on turn 11 for our final burst, which should kill the boss, because we're not going to kill the boss next turn. And even if we had our SLBs, even if we waited on turn 11 to do our SLBs for our big burst, we wouldn't kill the boss from here. Okay, you'd have to do over 9 billion damage, and we can't deliver that amount of damage. So by doing the big burst next turn and then letting their SLBs come online turn 11, the turn after, that saves us from having to refill their LBs with, like, you know, wasting a whole bunch of turn actions to refill their LBs. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Also, Taivas's preemptive LB boost is going to expire on turn 11. Okay, so he'll get one more of those next turn with his full LB mod, and then that's it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and send the fundamental forces. Okay, you see our overdrive is now ready to go for next turn, which is perfect. All right, and Penelo will do what she does, Remedy Lore, a couple of quickenings on Taivas, and then, yeah, hopefully. Oh, he did Ultima, perfect. All right, so that should greatly reduce the damage. Okay, so there's still another, like, there's some other non-elemental magic in there that still hurts, but he survived, and that is pretty darn critical. Okay. All right, Penelo is now going to do double bursting because she's going to absorb Charming Stage, and then she can do a quickening on, it looks like Taivas doesn't need it, so let's give it to Wilhelm. Okay. All right, we'll still need to do one Bard Archer, that's fine. So we'll do Human Killer on Taivas. We'll do, we'll do a Bard Archer, yep. And then we'll do a Curaga, okay, to make sure Penelo doesn't guts out again. Okay, everyone's looking good. I I think we're good there. We do have an attack and mag break. I wish we could get rid of that. But there's not really a good way to do that, is there? No, because then Penella's going to die, which we really don't want her to die because we need her to do her SLB next turn. So yeah, we're just going to, I mean, we'll just have to eat the attack and mag break. It's only like 40%. And when you have leader skills, it honestly, it doesn't impact your attack and mag that much. So it's more important, that we, you know, do a big burst on this turn. Everybody has their LBs ready to go, and that Penelo doesn't die. So that's the more important thing. All right, overdrive active. Okay, LB, LB, LB. Make sure, yep. Okay, make sure he's got everything. Yep, looking good. All right, so this is kind of the moment of truth here, guys. Yeah, hopefully we do a big chunk of damage. We kind of have to push him below 10% on this if we want to have any chance of actually killing him on turn 11, but I think we should. I don't think there's any problem with us from here doing that much damage. We should easily put him like probably around 7 or 8%, and then we'll clean up next turn. All right, let's see how we do. Nice, 7%. Awesome, yeah. All right, we're definitely killing this guy next turn. I don't think there's any issue with that. Okay, so Penelo just does her SLB so that we re-up our brakes. Okay, Melissa on this turn. All right, so we have our SLBs up, so the only person we have to worry about is Taivas. And thankfully, Melissa has Seconds of Support. Now, it's not going to do a mod boost, because it only does a mod boost to morale scaling LBs, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is that it does the full LB gauge fill, and that's what we need. Okay, so she'll do Seconds of Support. She'll do a Human Killer on, let's see, Taivas should still have his 250. Yeah, so we can just give it to one of, wait, which one still has the 100% amp? This one does. This one's just got a 60, so I'm going to give it to mine. So yeah, give it to the one that still has the 100% amp, thanks to Taivas. So Human Killer there, Seconds of Support on Taivas to refill him. And we could do Shared Immune. Well, no. Let's do a Bar Dark Jit, because we want to make sure that Wilhelm is also getting in on the action. Well, wait, no, I guess he can't, can he? No, Wilhelm really can't get in on this one. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Wilhelm's not going to play on this one, but that's fine. We don't need him. All right, so again, Human Killer on mine, because it has the 100% amp. Seconds of Support on Taivas to fill him up, and we'll just do... Shared Immunity, why not? Okay, that'll get rid of our attack and mag breaks. I think we still have those. Oh, we actually don't. Nice. Well, then how about just a Kiraga? I'm all over the place here. All right, Human Killer on mine. Seconds of Support on Taivas. And we'll do a Kiraga. All right, so Wilhelm on this turn will just... Yeah, I mean, not really anything he needs to do here, I guess. You can just do some chaining. Sure. All right, SLB, SLB, LB, and I think we should, let's see, 7%. How much do I actually need to do for 7%? We need to do 2.2? 2.2%? Or 2.2 billion? 2.1. Yeah, 2.1 billion to kill from 7%, which I think we should be able to do. Yeah, we'll find out, I guess. All right, let's do it. Boom. There it is. There's your 11 turn kill of the final boss of Final Fantasy Brave. Like, ooh, man, yeah. Okay, we did about 8% on there. Nice. So yeah, that was, I mean, that's like with all my best gear, my strongest units, and we're like just crossing the finish line there. That was, man, that feels good. Feels really good. Damage breakdown, Taivas. I mean, Taivas just like taking this one away. That Greatsword is stupid strong. Like, it's nuts because he only had a 25% weapon imperil the whole time, and yet he's over here out damaging fundamental force. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, now the friend unit, by the way, fundamental force, Taivas, and Wilhelm, all of their damage is going to be sort of artificially inflated here because they were doing their LBs against the first 3 bosses. Don't forget we had the first 3 bosses, so their numbers are kind of artificially inflated. Like you may be looking at Taivas and saying, oh, well, he did 30 billion. He killed Kefka all by himself. But we've got those first 3 bosses where we're doing like, 12, 15 billion damage on each one of those. So they're a bit artificially inflated. So the guest fundamental force is closer to what the fundamental force did against Kefka. And mine probably did about 9 billion as well, which means Taivas, Taivas probably did like 10 or 11 billion all by himself. I mean, he is just like stupid strong with that Greatsword. And it imagine if he had a 40 or 50% weapon imperil. I mean, he would be carrying this fight big time. It's just wild. It's wild. But yeah, that's how we got it done in 11 turns. Like I said, there are a couple of places where unless your units are exactly as strong as mine, you're probably not going to reach the same thresholds. But I will make notes of that in the turn chart if you choose to use this as your strategy. And just to explain like how to manage that and how to essentially shift the turn chart a little bit so that it fits the damage output that you're getting from your team. All right. If we hadn't killed there, by the way, also I've included in my turn chart what to do. You may have seen it actually in my previous video, what to do if you don't kill on the turn right after, because what Kefka will do is he'll do a dancing mad, which kills everybody. Everybody re-raises though, so it's fine. And then you basically just have to re-imbue everybody with one of the fundamental forces, and then you have to basically get Taivas's LB back up and have him do one more LB to finish the fight. As long as you are like at 3% or lower, he should be able to do it because he can generally do about 8 or 900 million with one of his LBs, which is right around the 3% mark. But that's just to give you an idea of what it takes there. But that's your all missions clear, 11 turns, easy peasy. Let's take a look at the gear real quick. All right, so I already showed you Komochi's gear at the beginning, so that I didn't have to, in case I forgot, which of course I would. So you saw Komochi's at the beginning. I'll show you the rest of the team now. So we've got Penelo here, who is a free unit. She does need to be EX2 if you want to make this work, which you can buy her shards from the anniversary shop. So definitely go do it if you have a Penelo and you want to try this team. She basically is just rocking as many stacks of guts as you can give her, as well as high of a spirit as you can get her, because like I said, she's going to be your healer on several turns, so you need to get her spirit jacked up as high as you can. The High Celestite Coat of Will is fantastic because it, if it will show you, it comes with 3 stacks of guts. Okay, so as long as you just heal her back above 20% HP, it will activate 3 separate times. Okay, that's why you have to make sure you heal her every turn. Battle Talisman, just another example of guts. It is a limited item though. You can always use like Chocobo Feather or something like that, or you could put on like Boater's hat or something like that. The High Celestite Bracer is pretty critical. Because it does do that LB mod boost. You don't have to upgrade it to the plus version. It still works on Taivas's LB. as the regular version, so you don't have to upgrade it to the plus version. Just the regular high Celestite Bracer will do just fine. Otherwise, a few more stacks of guts. You got Herba's Boon, which is great for guts, as long as their HP is over 1%, which is fantastic. Same with this one, except it is over 30%, again, which is why you have to heal every time. And then I just gave her a high spirit card. This one is nice because she, being a Final Fantasy 12 unit, she gets the extra spirit from that, which is nice. And that just makes her heals that much stronger. Also, I want to thank Finney on my Discord, because I was going crazy. I was like, I know there's a materia in this game that increases the modifier or increases the strength of healing magic, but I could not think of it. I was going crazy. I was looking on like FFBE equip, I was looking on the wiki, I was trying to figure out what it was, and Finney was like, oh, you mean this materia? And I'm like, yes, all right, I wasn't going crazy. But anyways, it does an extra mod boost on healing magic like Curaga, which is fantastic. That makes her, an even more competent healer. So that definitely helps there. So yeah, that's how I built my Pinello. Wilhelm is just built, very, very tanky. I went and ran as much spirit as I could on his spear. I could do a little bit more, but I got tired of running through Item World. So anyways, he got 50% spirit on his spear, which is nice. He does have the high Celestite Crown of Will, and I got the upgraded version, so it has the higher attack and mag. You don't have to have the upgraded version. I would still, however, recommend getting at least the normal version, because it is really, really good for Wilhelm, because it does have attack and mag on it, but it has a ton of HP on it, and it does a 10% HP heal every turn, which is fantastic. So I highly recommend crafting the high Celestite Crown for Wilhelm if you plan on using him as a tank. And if you have the resources available, go ahead and do it to the plus version, because it is really, really good. Dare I say it is best in slot for Wilhelm in the helmet slot. For his chest piece, this is just the best chest piece you can give him, because it's got 100% HP on it. So, anything you can do to bulk up his HP is really, really critical. Has a ton of defense and spirit on it. A decent attack stat. It's not great, but it's something. Spirit Tiger Mask is fantastic because it has 100% HP to attacker units, plus 7,500 flat HP, which is really nice. Emperor's Celestite Ring is there just, honestly, it's mostly there for the spirit, but also for the attack, of course. Shy Mermaid, so that way we cap out his spirit TDH. True Vampirism for the Chain Cap boost and LB damage boost. His EX ability, of course, Escape Artist, so that he's 100% evade. That is critical. He has to be 100% evasion. So Escape Artist is perfect for that. Soldier's Expertise is really nice because it does 100% to all stats for any Clash of Wills category unit, so that really helps bulk him up as well. And then I cannot say enough about this vision card. It's fantastic on units like Wilhelm. It easily makes him able to survive most magic attacks that these bosses are going to throw. Now, like I said, there are some that nobody can tank. Light of Judgment, nobody can tank it. Even Abby's going to die from Light of Judgment. So, if don't feel bad if your Wilhelm dies from Light of Judgment. You're like, oh man, I got to go get Abigail. No, Abigail's going to die too. All right, but the other attacks, the other non-elemental magic attacks, the stuff that he can't resist. All right, this card is critical for him surviving that. All right, for one, it gives him an extra stack of guts, which is huge, but it gives him 200% spirit TDH. It gives him 100% spirit passives, which he really needs the help because he has dreadful spirit passives, 500 flat spirit, and it gives him some elemental resist, which is really fantastic. Even so, he's still only at 450 spirit passives. This guy is tough to build for magic, for spirit, but we got the job done. We got the job done. All right. He is full on killers, so he has full human killer, 300% LB damage, 100% evasion, so he is good to go there. Melissa really doesn't need too much. You can give her a bit of bulk if you want, but otherwise just a few stacks of guts, just in case she gets hit with some damage over time. That's also why she's in slot 3, because if Kefka decides to venture into one of the units with camouflage, it's going to be Melissa first. And that's okay. It's okay if Melissa dies and re-raises at some point, at some like random point during the fight. It's less okay if one of your damage dealers gets hit by a random hyperdrive. But like I said, by making everybody full camouflage, we greatly reduce the chance, like almost reduce the chance to 0 that any of your DPS units are going to get hit. But you will notice that Melissa did actually get hit by one hyperdrive during that fight. That's because she is in slot 3. If I'd had like a fundamental force in that slot, the fundamental force would have taken that one, and that would have not been good. We definitely don't want that. She does have perfect provocation. That's just to make sure that Wilhelm jumps out in front of the attack for any kind of like single target. Like if the boss started with like a single target attack, we want to make sure that somebody else is provoking it so that he jumps out so his cover activates. That's all. Leave things to me. This is mostly just convenient for the first bosses where you don't really have the action economy to do a Greatsword in peril. But it's not necessary. It's helpful, but it's not necessary. You should still be able to first turn kill the bosses even without it. Okay? It's just, you know, it's just helpful, and that's all. Okay? All right, my fundamental force built, you know, balls to the wall, tons of clash gear, because that's what it takes to beat these bosses these days. And I gave him Talisman of Karl because it has guts. This is just a safety measure, just in case, like you saw Melissa took one of those random, you know, she took one of those random hyperdrives. This is just in case my fundamental force took a random hyperdrive. An extra stack of guts is really important because fundamental force has 2 stacks of guts innately. The third one, all right, allows you to survive all 3 turns of the damage over time, because the hyperdrive does 3 turns of damage over time. So this allows, even if my fundamental force had gotten hit by a hyperdrive by accident, 3 stacks of guts means they will survive it, okay? As long as you heal them up every turn. So that's what that is doing there. And then camouflage. So again, this is Montana, who's a 2-star unit. You get him from like a friend summon, 50% camouflage there. And then Veritas of the Light, who's I think a 5-star unit, another 50% camouflage there. United as 1 is a fantastic materia for TDW units because it does chain speed, so that's 200 more chain speed to go with fundamental force. Obviously her own STMR equipped, her own EX ability, and then this is the just one of the best cards that I have for her. So there we go. She's rocking it. She does have human overkillers. It's crazy. Even with the human overkillers, Taivas is still out damaging her. It's just like, it's insane. It's insane. Okay. Taivas, which I already showed you, he's got the Dark Vision's Greatsword, which is fantastic. He's got the Ninja's Celestite Chainmail. This is critical for Taivas because he's very difficult to build in general. He doesn't have any innate human killers. So this frees up all his materia slots for human killers because this comes with 100% camouflage. All right. So I can't recommend this enough. Ninja's Celestite Chainmail of Will Plus. Obviously, he's got his own STMR. All right. Because that's, you know, great for him. Zack's Glove's just a high attack glove. Earthwell's a heart for an extra stack of guts. He has 1 innately. An extra stack never hurts. Wings of the Warrior for chain cap boost, and then Chaotic Malice. Because I'm assuming if you're going up against Kefka, I would assume you would have already beaten Chaotic Darkness, so you can get this materia, which has 100% human killer for FFBE category units, plus 150 attack passives. 100% LB damage, fantastic materia, and then just an extra Man-Eater Plus to finish off his Man-Eater. Recognized potential, that is Celeste's EX ability, so that's it works on him because he's a Clash of Wills unit, fantastic. And then I decided to give him Wilhelm's card because it works on him. It's fantastic, so it gives him 1,000 flat attack and a 170 attack base. And he is 300% human, plenty of LB damage, he's good to go. Awesome. And that's it. So yeah, that's how we got it done. Nice 1 hour long fight. You know, I didn't think it would take an hour to do to do 11 turns, although I guess it's 14 turns total if you count the other bosses, but hey, you know, who's counting, right? Who's counting? Anyways, this was a lot of fun. If you guys want to try this and you have an EX2 Taivas, or if you got really lucky, you have an EX3 Taivas, you probably do even better than I would. But yeah, if you want to try this, this is how I got Kefka done. I'm not planning on doing any more series boss battle clears unless we get like a new fun unit or something for me to pull. I'm kind of done, I think. I might try some other different like random clears. I did get some people asking if I would go back and do Bialcula again with a Season 4 team, but like without Taivas, or like do one with Taivas but without Rain or something. I don't know. I might play around with some of those. If you have anything you'd like me to do, feel free to drop a comment below with a request if there's something you'd like to see me do. But I'm pretty much done with the series boss battles, I think, unless I pull a unit. If I get like a Laswell on add summons or something like that, I might take them in there and play around with them. But other than that, don't really have a whole lot of interest. So thank you guys so much for following me, and I will see you on the other side.